Hey everyone, how's it going? It's Jeff, the IT guy. Today we've got a special guest for you. We're featuring the Omen 30L. This is the base model. It's like a base model Mustang. You know how it goes. That no one buys, right? So this comes in at $950 US dollars. It features a Ryzen 5 3600, 8 gigs of DDR4 by HyperX. It's the HyperX Fury RGB. It features also a GTX 1660 Super, a 256 gig NVMe SSD by Western Digital, a 1 terabyte hard drive, a 500 watt power supply, and stock cooling. Wow. It's also got some RGB. That's right, this thing has RGB. Before we get into the review though, I want to give a special thank you to the sponsor of today's video. The sponsor of today's video is Havoc Shield, who offers small business cybersecurity from plan to proof. Is it time to get serious about cybersecurity in your small business? Havoc Shield's standard plan includes penetration testing, endpoint security, dark web monitoring, and info policy templates. So check them out. Their information will be in the description, and a huge thanks to Havoc Shield for sponsoring this video. So let's go ahead and let's get into the review of this. So it features a 120 millimeter RGB fan in the front. It's got an 80 millimeter fan in the back. It is super duper 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 loud. It's very loud. It's got stock cooling all around. The GTX 1660 has one fan. It's a single fan. Cable management is pretty good. It's not bad. It's not bad for a pre-built, so it's pretty good. It features spots for two 3¼ inch hard drives here in the front. It features two RAM slots with only one has been filled. Thank you, HyperX. We will talk about, or thank you, HP. We will talk about that later. Yes. Okay. It's got one slot for an M.2 drive, which is populated. It's also got Wi-Fi in the bottom. There's an M.2 slot just for the Wi-Fi. So it does feature a B450 motherboard. It is the Maria 3. Okay. So this is HP's attempt at doing a pre-built that is both pre-builty and upgradable. And so it uses standard parts, sort of. There's not a whole lot of proprietary nonsense going on in here. The motherboard, it's not super full featured. It's the Maria 3. It doesn't look like it has great power delivery. They do put like a 3900 in this. How? I don't know. I don't know how the VRMs handle it, how the motherboard handles it. It doesn't look like it has hardly any at all. It only has a 4-pin power on the motherboard. So that's rough. Just having that one 4-pin for the CPU. It doesn't have an 8-pin, it's just that 4. I don't think it's enough for anything higher than like a 3600 or a 3700X. We're going to try a 3700X in this bad boy later. So don't forget to subscribe so that you don't miss that video to see if you can put one in yours. But like I said, it will support like a 3900 or 3900X. It can go all the way up on the HP site to a 2080 Ti. It has a 500 watt bronze power supply in it. You're not going to get a 2080 Ti with a 500 watt bronze power supply. They do offer, better power supplies, but this one is the base model. So you do what you can with it. Right, it does have a slot to hold up the power or the GPU as well. It's got a really nice way to take off the side panel. It's just got this internal access button. It pops out, you lift it up, and you take your tempered side panel glass off. You can remove the back panel or the rear panel as well. To do that, you have to go in. There is a screw beside the power supply. You undo that screw, and then you need something like a wedge. I use my iFixit kit to go ahead and pop the rear panel off, and you'll see that there's not a whole lot of room whatsoever at all back there. So if you're going to plan on upgrading the power supply, you need to find something that's got flat cables instead of round cables. So they need to be like the flat top. The one that's in here, it has flat cables, but you'll want something that's got a flat cable kit so that they'll fit behind the rear panel. There's not a whole lot of room. Not a whole lot of room at all. On the top, it's kind of recessed. You get two USB 3s, a headphone and microphone port each, and a power button. In the rear, you're going to have not much, but you will have a USB 3 back here. That's the 10 gig. And then you're going to have a USB Type-C, and then 4 USB 3s, Ethernet, and then you're going to have 3 audios. Okay, so on the GPU as well, here's the ports that you're going to have on the GPU. You will have a DVI, you will have an HDMI, and you will have a display port. That is what you'll have on your GPU. Very basic, very minimal. Not a whole lot going on here. So let's talk about temperatures and frequencies and things of that nature. To test the temperatures on the GPU, we used Firmark. To test the temperatures on the CPU, we used OCCT. We ran those until there was some equilibrium, and we looked at the power and the frequency and the temperatures of each of those during the test. So during OCCT, the 3600 had an all-core frequency of 4 gigahertz. So anywhere between 3.9 and 4 gigahertz on all-core. The max temp was 90 degrees, so it was very hot and it was really loud. So the cooling solution on here is not the best. It typically keeps the CPU at about 70 to 75 degrees. So running OCCT, about 15 minutes, we got up to 90 degrees, 4 gigahertz all across the board. It does try and keep this below a certain wattage. It wants to keep it like 65. Whenever you started, or whenever I started the OCCT test, it did start making the window sounds like when things were starting to go wrong, like where it goes doodle-loop, 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 doodle-loop. Like when you're unplugging stuff from it, it started to make those sorts of noises. So it did not like having that much pressure put on the CPU. It didn't like it whatsoever. I think it was actually drawing more power than the motherboard could handle. All right, so for Firmark with the GTX 1660 Super, this is a reference design. In Firmark, we're seeing a max temperature of 77 degrees. That's on this, and so it's a single fan. So it's a little bit high, but it's not like super bad. It was loud as well. And the max frequency we saw was about 1650. The average frequency was about 1600. And so the base frequency on this is about 1530, and the boost is supposed to be about 1750. And so it's actually not hitting the boost frequencies that it should be. I don't know if that's a power constraint or, a temperature, or, a thermal constraint, whatever it is. I would like to test it in a different computer and see if it actually hits better frequencies than that. So all in all, there's not a whole lot of airflow going on. You've got the 120 in the front, which is mostly there to be loud and have RGB. You've got the 80 millimeter in the rear that is there just to be loud. That's it. You've got your janky fan, which is, what I mean by that is your CPU cooler. It's not very good at all. So there's not really a whole lot of airflow going on in this case. It does get quite loud when you're gaming on it, so it's not super quiet. And then there's a lot of cool whine and some high-pitched noises. You have to wear a headset, or at least I did. It was aggravating the life out of me, having this thing sit on my desk beside me, which is a shame because it looks good. However, I think, if you wanted to upgrade some fans or something like that, you could get away from that. So let's talk about performance in games. Because if you're buying this, you're going into Best Buy, you're like, hey man, I want a gaming machine. They're going to be like, hey, well, check out the $950 HP Omen. It can stream. It's got 6 core, 12 thread, GTX graphics, 8 gigs of RAM, DDR4, NVMe, woo, just whatever. So you want to know how this is going to do. Now, I ran these tests in 2 different configurations. because this comes with one single stick of RAM. One single stick. I had some RAM laying around, put it in. One caveat with this machine is that you cannot put in any other RAM besides what HP sells and get the XMP profile. So if you put in a 16 gig kit of G-Skill Flare X, it's rated at 3200 megahertz, 16 cast latency, you're not going to get that. It's going to pop. You're going to pop it in. You're going to get 2133, and you're going to have to go into Ryzen Master and put in your own timings and everything. You can't go into the BIOS and do your own XMP profile. It doesn't work on this, so that's a shame. You have to buy the RAM straight from HP, and it's $320 for a 16 gig kit. Not cool. Not cool at all, HP. Not cool. Because for that amount of money, for $320, you could go buy a B550 motherboard or a B450 motherboard for about $90 and a 32 gig kit of RAM for still less than the $320 that HP wants, and put it in here. And you'd be better off. Just saying. So let's talk about performance. First, we're going to talk about with the 16 gigs. So I put 16 gigs in, and inside of Ryzen Master, I put it to 30. I just left it. I didn't put anything. Inside Ryzen Master, I didn't do anything I was going to, but then I decided not to. But I just put it in, see what the difference was between dual channel and single channel. And so it was running at base frequencies like 2133, and then the 8 gig kit that was in here, which is single stick, was running at 3200 megahertz. So Borderlands 3, this is with the 16 gig 2-stick kit. On median settings, got 88.93 graphics. The single stick got 85. So that's a difference of almost 4 FPS. Not that big of a deal. But I mean, you know, it's still performance, right? So it's 4 FPS. Next test that we did was Assassin's Creed Odyssey. It, with 2 sticks of RAM, got 63 FPS at very high. And then with a single stick of RAM, it got 59 at very high. However, it was from Jitter City, from Stutter City, USA. It stuttered and stuttered and stuttered. It was awful to watch. There was so many frame lags, frame spikes. It just constantly would just drop frames like crazy with just one single stick in. I mean, you're not gonna be able to play Assassin's Creed Odyssey on this. Far Cry 5, 89 with 16 gigs of RAM, and 85 with the single stick. Far Cry New Dawn was 87, and then 79 with a single stick. Division 3 was 82, and then 81 with a single stick. And Shadow of the Tomb Raider was 93, and 87 with a single stick of RAM. And so as you can see, there's anywhere between like a 5 to 7 FPS difference between having a single stick and a single stick and 2 sticks. So you'll have single channel versus dual channel, and that's even without having XMP on the dual channel. So if you start messing with memory timings and stuff like that, get that set up, you're going to see even better gains, because Ryzen loves fast memory. It loves the fast timings. And you're not going to be able to do that on here unless you go into Ryzen Master and do it, which can mess with your warranty. So, conclusion time. What do we think about the $950 Omen? It's not bad. It's really not bad. I bought it to stream with. I had a stream that I wanted to do for World of Warcraft. It handled that stream just fine. You know, it's got the 6 cores, 12 threads. I put the 16 gigs of RAM in, and it had the NVENC encoder through the GTX 1660 Super. So it done really well. There is another version of this that's about $300 extra. That comes with a 2060, a 3700X, and 16 gigs of RAM and dual channel. You know, that's a really good deal, especially because of the graphics, because you're going from a 1660 Super to like a 2060 Super. Plus, you're getting the dual channel memory, and you're going from 6 cores to 8 cores. So, for an extra $300, that's in my opinion, that's a better bargain. But if you like to upgrade and tinker yourself, I think this could be the better option. The reason for that is because you can put a new cooler in here. It uses standard AMD mounting, so you could go ahead and you can put a better cooler in here, and you're going to get a lot better performance, or at least temperatures and acoustics. So you can go ahead and you can put a better cooler in here. You can put water cooling in here. There's a bracket in the top where you can put a 120 millimeter water cooler. If you wanted to, you can go ahead and put that in here. You can upgrade the graphics card, of course. If you want to go anything above like a 2060 and a 3700X, though, you're going to want to get a better power supply. So you're going to want to get something that's like 650 watts probably. Make sure you get flat cables. You know, you can put more RAM in here if you want to. You can fool with the timings yourself. Or you could get this as a platform. And what I mean is that it is cheaper to buy this than what it is to buy all the parts separately currently. And so we're back in that weird little pre-built phase to where it used to be cheaper to go out and buy a whole brand new pre-built that had like an RX 570 or 580 in it and sell the pre-built separately, or keep the pre-built and then sell the card for the price of the pre-built. There's people doing that all over the place. You could literally buy a whole pre-built cheaper than what you could buy a single graphics card, and then you could actually go ahead and turn some money on it. With this, we're almost in the same spot because of the stock issues, the supply issues that we're facing in the world right now. So this is $950. Just for a 2600 or a 3600, if you want to buy 3600 right now, you can't find one on eBay. They're anywhere between $250 and $300. For a 3600X, you're going to pay $270. So there's $270 for a 1660 Super. Good luck finding one. If you do, they're almost $300. So almost right there, you've got $570 to $600 just in two components. You start adding in RAM for about 50 or 60, motherboard for about 80 or 90. I mean, you start adding all this stuff up, and it ends up being more expensive to build a same spec machine than what it does to buy this machine. And so if you bought this, and then let's say you found a sweet deal on a 3700X for, you know, like $210 or something, you could go ahead, buy that, put the 3700X in here, and you could sell that 3600 for close to what you paid for the 3700X, and boom, you've almost got a free upgrade. You know, if you wanted to, maybe eventually there'll be stock somewhere of graphics cards. You know, maybe you could buy like a refurb 2060 Super from EVGA. Maybe it's just a couple $100, you know, or something like that, or a new graphics card or whatever. You could go ahead and sell the one that's in here, and you know, you're still going to have something, but it's going to make the upgrade process cheaper for you overall. You can also put standard size M-ATX motherboards in here, so standard layout, you know, and everything. It's nothing proprietary, so you can actually take this motherboard out and put in a B450 or a B550 of your own. You can go ahead and sell this motherboard on eBay or whatever. And so there's a lot of things that you can do to upgrade, and that's what I think this is. This is a platform. This is a platform machine. It's going to get you started. It's going to give you somewhere to plant some roots and then platform to somewhere else. If you don't want a platform, you need to go with the one that's higher than this one. The one that's 1250 with the 3700X, 2060 Super, and the 16 gigs of dual channel RAM. HP, quit putting single channel RAM in Ryzen systems. It's not cool. Just stop it. All right, so if you've enjoyed this video, go ahead and leave me a like and a comment. Go ahead and subscribe, because we're going to be doing pretty much a platform machine out of this. We're going to put a 3700X in it. You know, we're going to check and see how much performance we gain just from going to like a different cooler. So we're going to put a water cooler in here. We are going to put a new power supply. We'll put a new GPU. You know, we'll fool around with the RAM. Eventually, we'll probably replace the motherboard and really turn this into a platform that we can, you know, I'll just show you how to keep upgrading it so that you can do it effectively and efficiently, not spend a whole lot of money, but still get good performance in the end. So thank you for watching. This has been Jeff the IT Guy. Go ahead and subscribe. Don't forget to do that. I'll talk to y'all later, and keep it real.